Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Steven from Carnivore Steven, and I've been journaling, and I'm wanting this to be like a normal, regular, maybe a weekly thing or bi-weekly thing, probably weekly thing. But what I'm doing is journaling things that I'm learning throughout the week via videos on the carnivore community. And this will give us an opportunity to share some knowledge. And if anybody has anything else in the comments, you guys can let us or let me know that of anything that you guys have learned throughout the week, because there's all kinds of content creators out there that specialize in the weight loss slash carnivore slash keto community, and it would be great for us to share our knowledge and to just support each other in that sort of way. But yeah, the calories in ground sausage. Journaled this on Sunday, January the 4th of 2026. And it came to my attention that ground sausage 0 carb versus ground meat 80/20, the 80% lean. There's a big difference in calories. The caloric content of a 1 pound roll of 80/20 ground beef has somewhere between 700 and 800 calories. Maybe closer to 1,000, just depending on, what app you're looking at and things like that. And a 1 pound roll of 0 carbohydrate sausage, on the other hand, has around 1,700 calories. And I was using Bob Evans as an example for that. It is fine to incorporate ground sausage as a mechanism for variety in your carnivore diet, but I would watch how much I'm incorporating, especially if you're trying to introduce a caloric deficit into your diet along with the carb counting. So yeah, that was interesting, because I went and ground up 1 pound of Bob Evans, and then I went to track it, and then I was looking, I was like, there's no way it's this many calories. But well, when things taste amazing, it's usually for a reason. So there was this podcast I was watching, and they had a doctor on. His name is Dr. Fung, and he's one of the doctors that I recommend checking out. He's more of a fasting and weight loss kind of doctor, not necessarily carnivore or keto kind of thing. But I titled this journal entry Calories versus Hunger. A doctor named and this is random kind of notes, so if it sounds a little randomized, then I apologize in advance. Your boy has ADD, so. A doctor named Dr. Fung that primarily focuses on nutrition and fasting states that roughly 99.6% of people that track calories for dieting inevitably fail. When you start to focus more on hunger versus calories, you have a higher success rate. And that's actually the genius behind the Ozempic drug that we're seeing, which is a GLP-1 hormone. But it's not exactly the oldest thing in the book. It's still kind of new in a way. So there are some studies coming out that might not be the best for the Ozempic crowd or for the GLP-1 crowd. So if you're thinking about going that route versus some sort of surgery or just dietary change, I would highly recommend for you to research it first before you just start, injecting yourself with a drug because a doctor told you that it's okay. I'm not downing Ozempic in any way, shape, or form, but always with any kind of new medicine or drug that you're going to use, especially a major life-altering type such as a GLP-1 hormone, replacement or additive, whatever, I would highly recommend for you to do your own research first and foremost, hands down. So, is the problem with the vast majority of society being overweight the overweight person's problem? It's actually not. It's actually the advice that was given is where the problem lies. So, when we grew up, I'm in my 40s now, but when we all grew up, you're in your 20s or 30s, 40s, or even 50s, 60s. When we all grew up, we had this thing called the food pyramid. and all the grains, the rice, the fruit, the vegetables, the meats, and it was a pyramid, and it told you what you should be having the most of and what you should be having the least of. And we now know via research and trials that a lot of that food pyramid, quite frankly, is some sugar honey iced tea. Acronym, you probably know what that means. And the food pyramid, in my opinion, this is just my one person's opinion, don't take it for gospel. But my opinion is that the food pyramid was put in place for all the big food companies to be able to sell their food to the masses. And junk food and various other foods that's on that food pyramid is a lot quicker to produce and to get out to the stores than raising cows or whatever kind of other animals. And in our infancy as a species, the Homo sapiens sapien, they hunted. In between hunts, they fasted for obvious reasons, because they didn't have any kind of food to be had at that point in time. So that's what that was. And nowhere in there was there sugar, unless it was naturally occurring within a plant that they picked to eat. Because I'm assuming that they did pick plants and eat, berries and nuts and vegetables and some fruits, just whatever was available. I'm definitely for sure of that. So eating less calories doesn't work, because when you eat less calories, your metabolic rate decreases. So it's not the amount of calories that goes in, it's what physically goes in, the actual food. Okay. Spiking insulin causes fat storage, and having any kind of drug that triggers your nervous system causes weight loss. And that is shown clearly via evidence that smoking, now this is crazy, and other amphetamine usage does cause weight loss. But that does not mean you should go out starting smoking or other drugs in order to initiate weight loss in an obese person. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but smokers and heavy, illegal drug users, they tend to not be as obese than people otherwise. And I will tell you that I was around 220 pounds for the longest time. And then I quit smoking. I peaked at 315. The evidence is there. Doctors to follow, this is random, but doctors to follow on YouTube for weight loss and general health. Now, this is just a short little list that I came up with. Dr. Fung, Dr. Berry, Dr. Baker, and Dr. Boz. And that's just to name a few. All right, here's something else. The phrase working up an appetite comes from exercise and the hunger that you induce afterwards. I just thought that was an interesting, tidbit. And Dr. Fung is the one that said that. Studies show that exercise has minimal effects on weight loss, but this does not mean to not exercise. Being active does improve physical health and mental health. You can lose well over 100 pounds or more if you're morbidly obese without a lick of exercise. But as far as cardiovascular, lung health, and the interest of not losing too much muscle mass, I would highly recommend exercise. I have a membership with Planet Fitness, everyone's favorite gym, right? And yeah, I've been going there every day for about the past week. Something like that. All right. Telling somebody to eat less calories is akin to telling them not to hit icebergs when they are captaining ships in the ocean. Interesting, right? Better advice for that person would be to slow down, during bad weather. And that's akin to telling somebody that types of foods that they should be putting into their bodies instead of telling them to eat less of them. Kind of goes back earlier to the food pyramid. If you are eating a SAD diet, standard American diet, and primarily you are going to be eating cheeseburgers, ice cream, fruits, processed junk from the store, and you tell somebody for weight loss advice, and this weight loss advice would be the iceberg. Just don't hit icebergs, right? If you're captaining a ship, like say like the Titanic or whatever. But you're going to say, just eat less. Eat it in moderation. If you know somebody that's on hard drugs, are you going to tell them just have less of it? Just wean off? Well, maybe wean off, but are you just going to be like, you know what? Just have you some every once in a while. Heroin is okay if you just have a little bit. You're not going to say that to somebody. And the same thing with weight loss and dietary issues here. Why are you telling somebody to eat less junk instead of telling them to slow down in bad weather, right? You're going to tell them what to eat and not how much to eat. Because we know that calories is just a measurement of energy, in which we all need. We all need energy. I say amen to that. So we get them on a nice whole food diet. And if you're wanting to crank down the carbohydrates, you can even go to a carnivore, or even some say better. I don't know if I would say better, but a better diet known as lion diet. I don't know which is which. All right, we have our final journal entry. I told you, yeah, this video won't be too crazy long. This journal entry is titled Celery. There's a lady named Kelly, and this is the YouTube channel for this week that I want to shout out. Kelly from the YouTube channel called My Zero Carb Life. I've watched her for a while now. I am subscribed, and you guys should too. We should always strive to lift up the entirety of the carnivore, ketovore, and keto community, because they all typically mean well for everybody. They all mean well, and they're just trying to spread the wonderful word of good health. And if we could just lift each other up, subscribe to each other, talk about each other, I think that would be a fantastic thing. The lady named Kelly from the YouTube channel called Zero Carb Life said that she used to eat celery before she went on the carnivore diet because she heard that it took more calories to eat celery than it was actually in the celery. I knew a guy in the military. We're not going to mention names just in case he sees this video and doesn't like that. He was overweight. And he was always on the watch, you know, as far as because every 3 months or however often we had to go do our physical training test, PT test, and we also had to weigh in. And if your height to weight ratio wasn't where it was supposed to be, then you would have to get taped, and they would put a tape around your neck, your abdomen, take your height and your weight and your age, and then they would say, you know, they would see if you were overweight or not via the tape. And he was always really close on the tape, so he would be eating celery and running everywhere. If he was not stationary for any reason throughout the day, it would be in a run, like a sprint. And anytime he got hungry throughout the day, all he could have was celery. And then he had a calorically restricted meal whenever it was mealtime. He had like breakfast, and then he skipped lunch, just had celery, and had dinner. But it was ultimately a failure. And yeah, Kelly said that she used to eat celery because of the caloric difference between what you're eating and how many calories it took to that you had to burn in order to eat. Could this work? I argue that in the short term it could. Is it sustainable? No. Let's see. Okay. Each and every one of us, this is something that she said, each and every one of us is worth the effort. And this truly resonated with me. If you are religious or spiritual, please try your best to pull from that statement. Each and every one of us is worth the effort. And this kind of goes back to my last video. If anybody here needs any kind of support of any kind, if they're going through some mental stuff while trying to lose their weight, trying to get their health better, you can just leave me a comment, email me, whatever you want to do. I will always respond. As soon as I see that I have somebody wanting to talk to me, I'll be there. As soon as I see that, I'm there. If this channel grows to a point to where it warrants some sort of outside of YouTube server that we can just talk on, we'll do that, like a Discord or something. If you keep showing up meaty meal after meaty meal, walk after walk, and prayer after prayer, things will get better. It's persistence, and it's determination, and it's the will to live, and it's the will to become better. And I truly believe that. Kelly says that she does a fat fast on occasion, and that's when you eat only fat for a certain amount of time, and a lot of times she loses weight when doing that. A fat fast consists of dairy only. I think she said like a heavy whipping cream and eggs, maybe a couple of the little flavor additives if you need it, you know. It's a big misconception out there. We eat fat, and supposedly, at least what we were told before in life, that fat makes you fat. That just makes sense. But that's actually not right. Sugar makes us fat. Sugar spikes insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is not only used, but it is used to store fat as a defense mechanism for time of fasting and other reasons. So every time we spike insulin, we get fat, more or less. So especially if you do it a lot and very often, you know. But she eats nothing but fat for a day or two, however long they are. I don't know if Kelly sees this. Maybe she can talk more about it. She releases once a week, so I highly recommend her channel. My Zero Carb Life. I recommend her a lot. And she was on Dr. Barry's show. He interviewed her before, and the transformation that she went through was absolutely amazing. And ice cream, carnivore ice cream. This is another thing that if you got a sweet tooth, you just want something more than just meat and eggs, maybe some butter. Maybe you want something else. What is recommended from her is ice cream, which you can make yourself. Heavy whipping cream and egg yolks makes ice cream. 9 ounces of cream for every egg yolk. Mix it all up, stir it all up, get it all frothy, and freeze it. Once it's frozen, what you have left is ice cream. Those are the journal entries that I have for the past couple days, and I will be doing this as I learn things and see things that I think are interesting. I will write them down in my journal, and journaling is a very healthy thing for people with mental health issues or just people that are just trying to work on their mental health. And yeah, this has been Steven from Carnivore Steven. Hope you all have a great day. Bye.